Good morning. Welcome to the Dr. K Show. We've got a really interesting show for you today because our guest is speaking to us from Phoenix, Arizona, and he has been a very, very busy man in the area of music and writing, and I'm sure many other things that have touched the lives of many people. And not too long ago, we had his wife on, and she, almost everything that she ventured out to do, she was talking about the support she had from her husband. And I told Ryan, I said, we got to talk to him because they are definitely a pair. And so when I talked to our guest, whose name is Tony Rose. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Dr. K. How are you?
I am doing great. I would just thank you. And I was just wondering, it's like, who is the man behind the woman? Who is the woman behind the man? And Tony told me that they have been like real partners for, how long did you say, Tony?
35 years.
30.
Going back to Boston, Mass.
Oh, wow. Now, though Tony is talking to me from Phoenix, Arizona, he told me that he was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
In Roxbury, right out of the ghetto.
In Roxbury, right out of the ghetto. So he's got a lot of experience to pull from, right?
Again?
I said you have a lot of experience to pull from.
Absolutely. When you come from an American ghetto and you have to drag yourself up and out from nothing, you gain meet a lot of people along the way that help you. You meet a lot of people along the way that want to stop you. And you meet a lot of people along the way that are there for you. Mm-hmm. And Vaughn certainly was one of those people that I met that was for me many years ago.
Oh, that is awesome.
So, being a musician, a record producer when I was young, it takes a lot of work to do that and to get forward and to be successful at it. And when you come from the ghetto and you want to be successful and you think you might have a chance at something, it takes work, courage, discipline, and organization to do it. And a lot of things go on within that.
Yes, it does. And so when I finish giving these community announcements, I'm going to read this little part that says all of the things, not all, because it doesn't say about the music and the record producing and everything. Oh, I just can't wait to get to your story. And I can't wait to get started. Are you ready, Tony?
I'm absolutely right here.
Okay. Now, born and raised in Boston in the ghetto, please tell us what it was like coming up for you to eventually end up in all this
stuff. I had a strange childhood, and so that's why I decided to write about it in the Autobiography of an American Ghetto Boy, which is part of the book, The America, the Black Point of View, an investigation and study of the white people of America and Western Europe. What I found was that, when we come out of the ghetto, when we come out of an American ghetto, we grow up and come from murderers, pimps, gangsters, drug dealers, drug addicts, rapists, child abusers, thieves. We grow up with people that are that in our families. We grow up with people like that. We become that. We live that. As I said in the book, I wanted to write about what it was like for a child and a young teenager to grow up in the real ghetto, the projects, and come from a dysfunctional and violent family where, contrary to what black poor people are always depicted as, there was no God, no church on Sunday, no marching with Martin Luther King Jr., and no singing in the church choir.
Whoa.
What I wanted to do was write about me as an African-American child and teen living in America. And I found that I couldn't do that without writing about white America. What it was like when I was a child, how it shaped the people around me, and what it was now like to live in America coming from that. I found in my studies that the main reason, the main thing was that the name, the white man, or white people, is the most hated name on earth. and that if white people wanted to show how they are finally becoming civilized, that they should all change their name from the white people of America to what they really all are, which is European American. When you go to Italy, they're not called white people there. They're called Italian. When you go to London, they're not white people there. They're called British or English.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to France, there's no white people there. They're called French. Only in America, when they came to America to band against slaves and slavery and black people, did they become white people, all banded together, and their one common enemy is black people. So when you grow up in that environment, you learn with all the liquor stores around, all the people that you have to deal with, all the evil that's presented to you, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's bad food, anything bad, anything in America that you have is brought to you by the white people of America. What I found is that every white person is responsible for everything that has happened to every African-American person in America that is bad, and every person of color around the world. White people are the world's greatest serial killers, mass murderers, and rapists. Mm-hmm. And what I also found in today's world in America is that their new leader, they have a new leader for white supremacy and white privilege, is Donald Trump.
Oh, my goodness. Look, I'm going to let you stop for a minute and let people ingest, or whatever, all of that stuff that you have just said, all of that. And so we're going to backtrack just a little bit, because you've set us to a table and given us the big pieces of meat. And it takes time to chew all that and get it separated and together. So let's first start off with saying you've done research on this. From what I have read in the communication that I've gotten, that you have done a study of white people of America. And so I'm going to step back a little bit. Do you know that all my life I don't know where I missed it, what grade I missed it in, but I was taught in that little song that children sing, red and yellow, black and white, we're all perfect in God's sight. And I remember that song as a child. And then when Michael Jackson came out with Black or White, and when who's the other person, Ebony and Ivory, and all of those things, it was like they were only picking to me at that time, two people in the world. But I can understand now, and you've given me some, why here in America people are either black or white, and it's because all of the French and the British and the Italians and all of those were lumped together in the white race. And even President Andrew Jackson took the Indians and told them they could only be black or white, and lumped the lightest skinned Indians in with the white race, and the darker ones were supposed to be black. And maybe there were other people like me who was caught up into this. Hey, where are the red, the yellow, and the black? You know. I'm looking at Ryan. It's about almost time for us to go to break. But can we start somewhere back in there and get where the white race was actually created here? Because that was a powerful statement, okay? Okay, because I grew up not understanding that, okay? Everyone, you're listening to the Dr. K Show on Radio 1240, WCEM AM, streaming at mtslive.com, and like us on Facebook. Welcome back to the Dr. K Show. I told you the show would be really, really different today. It would be really interesting because our guest, Tony Rose, is the CEO of Amber Communications Group, Incorporated, and he is the author of the newest book, America, the Black Point of View, which is an investigation and study of the white people of America and Western Europe, and the Autobiography of an American Ghetto Boy, the 1950s through the 1960s. So our man today, our guest today, has oh my goodness, he needs to sit down with a group of people, and I'm sure you've already done that, and just let everybody voice their opinion. I do want to know that when I was teaching biology, that I did some research and studying too, and the research at that time showed that life began in Africa. So as we studied that, and I made the big announcement that all of us in this classroom with our various races we all originated in Africa. And oh my goodness, kids went, no, you can't mean that. Now, I didn't, come from Africa, and then we did some more of the studies that a lot of people have done, and talked about how the color changes took place and everything. And it just took a while, but we all kind of eventually realized that, hey, this is possible. And that's why
what happened was when people left Africa and walked out into the world, starting a few million years ago, but 100,000 years ago, some of the people walking out of Africa went north and east, and into the Middle East, and then into what we call Europe today, and walked into there. And through many centuries, 100,000 years of living there, became part of their environment. They mutated first. Their eyes mutated from brown to blue, and then different other various colors. And then mutated into their skin started changing from a brown. If you notice the people who live in Italy or Spain or Portugal, their skin is more browner, more darker. The more you go to the north, their skin color becomes whiter.
Right.
I say it's because white people have placed a big thing on skin color throughout the world. And starting in 1484, when they came back to Africa with guns and cannons and began to enslave Africans. And then from there, they went across to every country of color, from Africa to Australia to the Pacific and Hawaiian Islands to India, to the Native Americans, the Native Canadians, Eskimos, Incas, Mayans, every country and person of color that the white man has conquered by the use of guns and weapons of destruction exists today in dire poverty. And that would include us African Americans in America. Well, every country in Western Europe and every white person in America lives enslavement and rape of Africans and African Americans. So while they lived in a violent world, they became the best killers on earth. White people didn't just start killing us. They were killing each other long before they met us in Europe. They were killing each other over culture, over language, over religion. They had wars where they would kill 100, 200,000 of them on a battlefield at a time. These were stone killers, people who loved to kill, rape, pillage, and massacre. So when they came to Africa and then came to the New World and met the Native Americans in the New World, they did the same thing. Over 150 million Africans were killed between 1484 and 1802 when they so-called began to calm down on slavery and pass laws in England and started to in America talk about the end of slavery, but it went on for many more years and then ended up in colonization. So if you wanted to add colonization onto it, you're talking about the extermination of over 250 to 300 million people. And remember, Africa and 500 years ago had a population of 500 million to 1 billion people in it. It was the most populated area on Earth. So when you're talking about those sheer numbers of people dragged out of there to Europe, to the islands, to the Americas, to the only cleansed country in Northern America is Canada, which didn't have slavery. Every other country in South America, Central America, the islands off the Haiti, Cuba, every island you can name had slavery. Slavery was a brutal situation that put our families in life, and that's why I equate it with, and I said white people today make the mistake of thinking that white Western Europeans and white American extermination, slavery, racism, segregation, and the brutal colonization of Africans, African Americans, Native Americans, not Australians, we can go to other people of color throughout the world, is an exaggeration. And they tend to dwell more on the evils of the American ghettos and projects to find ways to excuse white Western European and white American capitalism, greed, and racism as the prime problems for the destruction of tens of millions of African Americans in this country living in our American projects and ghettos.
Okay, I'm going to, because you can go on, and I can see my listeners being like shocked and like, who does he think he is, and where did he get his information? So let me allow you to tell us some of the ways you found out the information that you did.
Well, basically, you and every African American in this country knows I'm telling the truth. Right. That's simple. You know it. I know it. Every African American in this country, we know our history. We know what has happened to us. And basically what I said also is the ghetto is still under siege, and the overseers, the police, are still killing and jailing us. The vast majority of white population has no love or concern for African Americans except for those who entertain them. White people still have all the political and enforcement power because they are not afraid to lie, cheat, steal, and murder. And the Dred Scott decision in America still holds true. The black man has no rights which the white man is bound to respect. And we live that every day. You might think you don't, but you do. Your life being, I also equated us to a book called The Time Machine that H.G. Wells wrote, where underground lived a certain monstrous people. This is billions of years in the future or something. And on top live these caste of people who are being eaten, being destroyed, being monopolized, being hurt, yet they don't know it. They have no idea what's going on. They just disappear one by one. In the world we live in today, and remember, the book is written for, by, and about poor black people in America who live in projects and ghettos. And remember, they're in the tens of millions. And they live in poverty with drugs surrounding them, alcohol surrounding them, no jobs. Right. And you know who they are, and you know they're there. They're in every major city in this country. And they're there for a reason. We live in those things because of redlining. This has been going on. I'm not talking about anything new. The way we live in America is the way we've lived in America for 200 years, 300 years. We can go back. We can go back centuries. And we're not talking about a decade. We're not talking about what happened 50 years ago with Martin Luther King Jr. We're talking about how we've had to live here. And the leaders that we have, basically, you could say a lot are in it for the money, but very few, if any, major African-American leader has come from that environment. You can talk about Reverend Al Sharpton, you can talk about Ben Jellius, former NAACP Image Award Winner, Senator Cory Booker. They meant to help poor people and at-risk children in this country. But the problem is that 99% of them don't come from that environment. So they don't understand how children can murder children, how children can set other children on fire, how children can sell other children drugs, how children can kill another child over and over and over and over and over again. And you know it, and I know it, that this goes on in every American city. So that's why I say the reason and cause of all this destruction comes from slavery. The white man who sold our families, and they talk about no fathers and those, well, they took the fathers away.
Right.
Sold them, killed them, brutalized them in front of their families. Made them seem less than human. In fact,
Okay, we got to stop and go to commercial. We get so involved. Okay, when we come back, I want to talk about how do you think white people respond to what you're talking about. You're listening to the Dr. K Show on Radio 1240 WCEM AM, streaming at mtslive.com, and like us on Facebook. You know, Tony, I'm thinking, did I even give that question? I can't even remember saying that.
This is the first time you said it.
Isn't that something? I have to apologize to my listeners. Who was the person and his singing group that sang the song back in the 50s, 60s, Tears on My Pillow? Okay. Do you think you know that, Tony, or are you too young?
Oh, I absolutely know who it is.
Oh, you do? All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now we have to give them time, before the show to see if they can call in and give us that answer. Now, Tony, you are definitely unique, and probably some people will say that you are angry and bitter and have no room in your heart for the people who kind of don't fit that some of what you were telling us. There are many of us African Americans who know the truth that you were giving at the beginning. The research has been done. A lot of it was done by white people. Richard M. Leakey is given the credit for finding out that the oldest skull or that life began in Africa. And it was a Time magazine article many, many, many years ago. And I brought it to my Black literature class, and I showed the students. And then, I was a biology teacher, and we did some studying, and we found that out. And a lot of the things, I was thinking about what was going on in the news where white cops were shooting black guys and killing them, and they would shoot them not to lame them or to just hurt them, but they would shoot them multiple numbers of times in the back and in the front, and face on, and they would go to court and go to the grand jury, and the grand jury would always make it seem like this was a bad black person and deserved to be destroyed. And this is going on, and African Americans have lived one hell of a life, I could say, in many inner cities.
So let me say this, for 500 years and more, ever since the Europeans found guns and weapons, cannons, mass destructive weapons going back to the 13th and 14th century, they have come to every country of color in the world that they could find. From Africa, as I said, all the way to Australia, all the way to the Hawaiian Islands, all the way to South America, the Native American, here with the Native, in the New World with the Native American. And they have enslaved and colonized every country they have gone to. Africa didn't go to Europe and enslave Europe.
No.
They enslaved Africans and African Americans. They pillaged, enslaved, mass murdered, and raped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of people of color and black people around the world. And let me tell you why. So that their children's children and their children's children's children and their children's 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 children could live in white privilege to this very day, this very hour, in every European, Western European country and America around the world. And as I said earlier, their leader today is Donald Trump in America. So another German who wants to round up people and get rid of them. he is coming out. I have a sincere belief that Donald Trump is going to win the presidency of the United States because he thinks, and he knows, he's kind of knowing this, that every white person secretly believes what he's saying. And every white person, unlike they did for Romney didn't come out. They didn't come out for him. He thought he had won. Man actually, on the night of the election in 2012, thought he had won.
Yes.
Because he figured every white person was going to come out and counteract every so-called, I hate the word minority. I'll just use it in its context. So I'll use, but it's not a word to me. I don't believe in minority or majority. In fact, we need to get rid of the word minority as it applies to us. But in any case, he just figured every white person in America was going to come out and vote. I don't also believe in the word white or black. I believe that everyone's a human being. Mm-hmm. But these are things that I'm not the one that's given the world this. The world gave this to me. White people gave me racism. They gave me their whiteness. They told me they were white. They told me they were superior. They tell every one of us they are by in every context, in every way you can imagine. They steal music. They've stolen everything from us, our culture, our whole thing. But you're supposed to just say what you said. No, that's not, well, we're all together. No, we're not all together.
No, we're not.
And I'm not angry about anything. America's been good to me, actually. I've done very well from whence I came in America. Mm-hmm. I believe in America. Served in the American Armed Forces, in the military. Mm-hmm. I'm a vet, Vietnam vet. So it's not America that's at fault here. What's at fault are the individuals who allow their leaders. I'm sure that there were many during those years, 500 years, many white people who were nice and wonderful, but they allow their leaders, their people, who were greedy, who brought death, destruction, disease to people around the world, to countries, whole people. Yeah. And destroy. I'm just saying in America, what's the solution? I go through this over and over and over again in different interviews I've done. And I said the solution at the beginning. We need to get rid of the word white. We need to get rid of the word black. I'm an African American. White people need to be called European Americans.
European Americans,
yeah. The stigma of the word white.
Yeah, we used to use that back in the, I'm going to say, 80s, 70s. The words European Americans were used more and more, and then we were right back to the word white. Right, exactly. As I said, a lot of things that happened in the 60s and 70s were destroyed in the 80s and 90s because of drugs, crack in our communities. You forget how our communities have been ravaged, man. You have to understand how ravaged and destroyed communities in America are to this day. Right. You see a little glimpse of it when you see the people lately in Ferguson or lately in Baltimore or lately in different places in Chicago, and you hear about all the killing. Well, these people live like this in the tens of millions, Dr. K. Yes. And your listeners. In the tens of millions. I'm talking about 30, 40. And one thing that Barack Obama knew when he ran for president, that a lot of people, when I was back in 60s, and so we were 25 million. We kept being 25 million for years, even into the 90s and 2000. We're 25 million of us. No, we're not 25 million. There's not 30 million of African Americans in this country. There's about 75 million of us. Barack Obama and his team of people knew this and knew that if he could get out that word, he would win the election because all he needed was all of us. Mm-hmm. Remember, we don't do census, but he needed us to what is it called? To get ready to vote. Right. Get ready to vote. Sign them up to vote. So he did that, and there's now 70 million or so
African American voters in this country. He did a good job, and that's why he was elected twice.
Right.
So there's a lot of people, 20 million people living in projects and ghettos in America. And that's why I wrote America, the Black Point of View, an investigation and study of the white people of America and Western Europe, and the autobiography of an American ghetto boy, the 1950s and 1960s, from the projects to NAACP Image Award Winner.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. Are these are two separate?
Literature.
Oh, I want you to say that again, but I want to ask this question. All of this is not the name of one book, is it? With the
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is, because I thought it was two books.
Nope, it's one book.
It's one book.
And comprising. What it means is that what the book is saying, Dr. K, is that it's saying that we're here because of this reason, that it's defining who white people are, because they've never been defined before. They're always defining who black people are.
Yes, yes.
So the book is there to define white people and to let them know why these things happen in the ghettos. They brought death to us in the form of alcohol, drugs. You know, to smoke crack, you need a pipe. That's manufactured. That is not manufactured in the black community. To drink alcohol is not manufactured in the black or Native American community. The papers you have to use to smoke weed, marijuana, are not manufactured in the black community. Yet the black community is infused with drugs and alcohol and marijuana. And so what I was saying is that during the 60s and 70s, it was infused, especially the 70s and 80s and 90s, with drugs and alcohol. I think when watching what's going on in the world, in America today, with the younger people coming out, the Black Lives Matter and so forth, and all the organizations coming up, and because there has been a cleansing over the last maybe 10 years of this stuff of drugs and this type of clamp on our communities. And now people are talking and coming out.
Yes.
And saying, we're here. We're tired of living like this.
Yes.
We're tired of being killed at any time. We're tired of killing ourselves. We're tired of other people killing us. We're tired of having nothing. Nothing.
And we're going to stop right here because we got to go to another commercial. We need another show. That is terrific. Now, Tony, we have less than 7 minutes, and I want, first of all, everybody to know where we can get your book. And then I want you to basically outline the book. And, okay, and we can do that in
America, the Black Point of View, an investigation and study of the white people of America and Western Europe, and the autobiography of an American ghetto boy, the 1950s and 1960s, from the project, the NAACP Image Award Winner. Volume 1 by Tony Rose can be gotten at www.amberbooks.com or www.blackpointofview.com. You can get it on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and every digital source in the world. The book has sold at this point over 35,000 copies in less than 4 months. I believe it is to do with the title itself and the theme of it. Because as I said, the theme of the book is about children. Our children living in poverty and violence, degradation, drugs, child abuse, and the horrors of prostitution, drug dealing, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and depravity in America.
You know, anyone who can achieve and get out of this is an awesome person. And,
That's right. And, you know, there are many like me who did, and there are many like you who probably did.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went into life. I became an NAACP Image Award winner. I have gold and platinum albums. I've been worked with some of the most famous groups in America, from New Edition to New Kids on the Block. I'm from Boston, remember, so I worked with all the major acts out of there.
Whoa.
Back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Okay.
I had light production deals, music production deals with Virgin Records, Atlantic Records, and Columbia Records, CBS Records.
Ooh, you have been a busy
so
man.
I've been around. I've been very successful. It's a beautiful world.
All right.
Unfortunately for your listeners, there are millions, tens of millions of people, both black and white, living in dire poverty in this country. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason.
I hope it's in your book, because I want to know. Many white people have kept their history, their own history, from their own people, and there are many young white people growing up not understanding, why do you feel that way, black people? Why? What are you talking about?
And as I said earlier, they're the recipients of it because of what their forefathers did to get this for them.
Okay. And I want to get from you. Do you have an email?
My email address is amberbk@aol.com. My website is www.amberbooks.com. My phone number is 602-743-7211. I'm Tony Rose, CEO, publisher of Amber Communications Group, Inc., the nation's largest African-American publisher of self-help books and music biographies.
Oh, my goodness.
We sell books, and we sell information by, for, and about African Americans, but it's sold to every person across the world.
Wow. And your email is amberbk.
Amber Books. AMBERBOOKS.com. And my email address is AMBERBKS@AOL.com.
All right. Well, you're certainly going to be hearing from me.
Thank you.
And
I've enjoyed this show very much and talking with you, Dr. K. I hope listeners have learned something and appreciate what I've had to say today.
I think they want to hear more of what you have to say, because they're, like I said...
buy the book. Read the book. Read the book. And to understand why I've said what I've said. It's all there. It's all honest. It's all true. I wrote a book of honesty.
A book of honesty.
In America.
Okay.
Someone is there to do that. I do that.
And one thing I've got to say about you pull no punches.
You're not supposed to tell the truth.
Tell the truth. You're not supposed to pull punches. I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. It's really not time. Well, we got 1 minute, 30 seconds or so. I really am looking forward to emailing you and to receiving your book. And because it sounds like we could have many lessons in school from your book.
Well, it's just sitting in a lot of places, and like I said, honesty is what sells. And sells to people who want to hear the truth. If you don't want to hear the truth, don't buy the book. If you don't want to read the truth, don't buy the book.
All right.
The truth is in there.
Okay, everyone, you're listening to the Dr. K Show on Radio 1240 WCEM AM, streaming at mtslive.com, and like us on Facebook.